Hey everybody, Patrick with Triptych Canine. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Today's episode 34 of Triptych Canine's Tuesday Training Tips. I'm going to apologize now. This is probably going to be a long video, around, I don't know, the 10-minute mark. I've tried recording this for the past hour and a half, and I can't get it any shorter. It is what it is. Today we're going to be talking about spaying and neutering. Now, let me preface this by saying, if you decide to spay and neuter your dog, that is completely your decision. You should not let anybody guilt you into spaying and neutering your dog. You should not let anybody guilt you out of spaying and neutering your dog if it is something you want to do to your dog. It's your dog, okay? It is not up to anybody else but you. These are just my opinions. I am not judging. If you want to do it, do it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. Second thing, I am not talking about legitimate medical issues that require spaying and neutering your dog. If your dog has a medical issue that requires spaying or neutering, do it. Your job as its owner is to look out for the health and well-being of your dog. If that requires spaying and neutering your dog, do it. Okay? Now, what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about the hype or the argument spread by certain ideologies, shelters, things of that nature, for spaying and neutering. Then we're going to talk about when people suggest spaying and neutering to solve behavioral issues. I do not. We'll get to that. And then we're going to talk about my recommendations if you do decide to spay and neuter. Okay? So first we're going to go with the hype, the argument for spaying and neutering, which is peddled by shelters, humane societies, rescues, certain ideologies. Their argument goes something like this. Responsible pet owners spay and neuter their dogs to prevent unwanted pregnancies because we already have too many dogs in shelters and there are already too many stray dogs. By spaying and neutering your dog, you are helping control the population of stray and rescue dogs. And that is what responsible pet owners do. Alright, the first problem I have with this is if you are... Now, I might be holding dog owners to a bit of a high standard, but I think that if you're a responsible dog owner, you supervise your dog, you know what your dog is doing, and you don't allow it to get into compromising situations. Any situation. That could be a situation where they bite somebody, or, in this case, the situation where they become pregnant or impregnate another dog without you wanting it to happen. That's my opinion. That is what a responsible pet owner does. Now, the argument that being a responsible pet owner means that you cut out your dog's sex organs so that it can't get pregnant. How's your dog going to get pregnant if you are keeping an eye on it, knowing what's going on with it, and not allowing it to get into the situation of becoming pregnant or impregnating another dog? What their argument actually does, besides what they phrase it in a way that makes you feel like you're actually doing something productive. Like, yeah, I'm doing something to help the cause of lowering the number of shelter dogs and things like that. You're not. You're not doing anything. What their argument is actually removing responsibility from the owner. They're saying, hey, spay and neuter your dog so that you never have to pay attention to it and wonder what it's doing, and you can just let it run around the neighborhood, have sex with a bunch of other dogs, and you don't have to worry about a thing. You do not need to be responsible because you did surgery on your dog that was unnecessary so that you could feel good about yourself. That's really what their argument is. And I made it a little more blunt, but that's really what it is. It's not about being responsible. It's about not having to be irresponsible. Responsible dog owners know what's going on with their dog. They supervise their dog, and they don't allow it to get into the positions that they shouldn't be in. Now, I'm sure somebody will say, well, my dog escaped our yard, and I'm a responsible pet owner, and it escaped our yard, and it got pregnant, or it impregnated a dog. Or they'll come up with, well, we had a stray dog come into our yard, or our neighbor's dog came into our yard, and it impregnated our dog. But I'm a responsible dog owner. Okay. If you're a responsible dog owner, then you were keeping track of your dog, knowing what's going on, and that means that you watched it try to escape your yard, did nothing, allowed it to escape, allowed it to run around, get pregnant or impregnate another dog, and then come home, and now you're complaining that your dog escaped your yard when you would have had to watch it if you were actually a responsible dog owner. Same thing with a stray dog coming into your yard. It means that you were watching your dog, if you were legitimately a responsible dog owner. You watched it come into your yard. You watched it go up to your dog, all the while doing nothing. And you watched your dog either get pregnant or become impregnated or impregnate the other dog. That's what you watched. And you stood there and watched it as a responsible dog owner. And then you're complaining because the dog came into your yard and did that. So again, if you were a responsible dog owner, you would have had to watch this whole thing happen and not step in. At that point, you can't really complain about an unwanted pregnancy at all because you allowed it to happen. So if your dog got pregnant and you didn't want it and you let it happen, you either let your dog escape and didn't stop it from escaping, or you let another dog come into your yard and you let them have sex, that's on you. Normally, I don't, for behavioral issues, I do not blame owners, really. Okay? There are certain circumstances where I will call out the owners, but this is completely different. Now, so if you're a responsible dog owner, you're keeping an eye on your dog, you're making sure it's not getting into situations you don't want it to be in, which includes not letting it get pregnant or not letting it impregnate another dog. Now we're going to get on to the behavioral side of things. Some people will go onto Facebook groups, forums, or other dog groups, whatever, and they'll say, my dog has this behavioral issue. One of the questions I always see asked almost immediately, it's usually in like the top 5 to 10 questions, is your dog intact or is it fixed, spayed and neutered? Who cares? That doesn't matter. Spaying and neutering doesn't solve behavioral issues. Okay? Now, tell you why. If spaying and neutering solved a behavioral issue that is present in intact dogs, then we would never see that behavioral issue with spayed and neutered dogs. You get what I'm saying? If intact dogs that have not been spayed or neutered, are exhibiting certain behavioral issues, and the solution is spaying and neutering, then we would never see, or we would not see, the same behaviors in already spayed and neutered dogs. They wouldn't exist because obviously spaying and neutering solved it. But that's not what we're seeing. That's not what I'm seeing in my experience. That's not what my colleagues are seeing in their experience. What we are seeing is the exact same behavioral issues being exhibited by dogs who are still intact or dogs who have been spayed and neutered. It is what it is. And again, I'm sure there will be somebody that jumps in here that says, my dog had this behavioral issue. We were told to get it spayed or neutered. We did so and the behavior went away. One dog out of hundreds of millions is not statistically relevant. Okay? It's not. Maybe your dog was traumatized so much by the surgery and the pain and the soreness for the weeks afterward during its recovery that it just shut down and never wanted to do anything like its behavioral issue again. That could have been it, but that's no life for a dog. Anyway, I'm not going to judge. Somebody's going to comment, or I'm going to hear about it somewhere, that spaying and neutering their dog solved a behavioral issue for their one dog, and it's never solved it for another dog ever again, which means it's statistically irrelevant. Okay? I'm not trying to make you feel bad, but your one dog out of the hundreds of millions doesn't matter statistically. Now we're going to move on to the my recommendations if you do decide to spay or neuter your dog. Again, I apologize for the long video. There's a lot of information. I think this needs to get out there for you guys to think about. Thank you for sticking with me so far. This won't be much longer. My recommendations, if you are going to spay or neuter your dog, which again is a personal choice, do not let anybody convince you to spay and neuter your dog or convince you not to. It is completely up to you. Do your research, make your own decision. If you are going to, please wait until the dog is fully mature. For large breeds, this happens around 2 years of age. For smaller breeds, they mature faster. Do your research into your breeds and make your judgment call from there. But the reason I recommend this is the dog's sex organs secrete hormones and chemicals that are necessary for proper maturation of your dog. If you wait until it is fully mature, then your dog goes through all the stages with all the proper hormones to reach a mature, fully mature adult. Now you can research this online. There's one picture that I have seen which is amazing. It's of 2 bull terriers, and they are from the exact same litter, so they're the exact same age. Okay? One was neutered at, I think it was like 6 months of age, or it was neutered early. The other one was either neutered when it became mature, or it wasn't neutered at all. I can't remember. Either way, it reached full maturity before it was neutered. And the difference is just the visual difference. The physical difference is astounding. The one that was neutered early, before it reached maturity, and I'm not talking sexual maturity, I mean growth maturity, is smaller. It looks more like a puppy. It's not as built. Its head structure is different. Its muscle structure, its body structure is different. The one that was not, like I said, I can't remember if it was neutered or not neutered, but it waited until it reached full maturity. Again, full growth maturity, not just sexual maturity. It reached that point, and you can see the difference. It is bulkier, it is stockier, it looks like an adult dog compared to the puppy look of the other one. Okay? So, to recap, be a responsible dog owner, pay attention to your dog, know what's going on with it, and don't allow it in situations which you don't want it to be in, which can result in unwanted pregnancies. That's what a responsible dog owner does. They keep an eye on their dog. They don't allow them in compromising situations. Okay? So, spaying and neutering to stop your dog from becoming pregnant is not what responsible dog owners do. Responsible dog owners do not let their dog even get into the situation where they can have an unwanted pregnancy or unwantedly impregnate other dogs. 2, spaying and neutering doesn't solve behavioral issues. Training solves behavioral issues. And 3, if you're going to spay and neuter your dog, do your research. Wait until the dog is mature. That is my recommendation. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this video. We're at 13 minutes. I know it's a long video, but it's information that I think needs to get out there. It needs to be seen by a bunch of dog owners so they can make informed decisions about things. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Get out there, train your dogs, and have some fun, because training never ends.